Small Things Strange exhibition is a renewed look at the work of the Blk Art Group, collective of artists that worked together from 1979 to 1984 as a collective here in the West Midlands. They were students at the time and worked as a collective to interrogate notions of identity and representation, gender, sexuality, through their arts practices. It was at the time regarded as being countercultural. This exhibition is a kind of a renewed look at that work, but then also at their current practices as well. So it incorporates their current practices as well.
Yeah, I think, as Ian said, we're really interested in looking back at work done in sort of the early 80s, and then also how the artist practice have continued to evolve. Whilst there was no more, these artists have continued to keep making work, and so I think we kind of get a sense of that as we sort of go through the show. And I think it's kind of important, I think, to think about how an artist is able to sustain a long-term career and practice in the arts.
I'm Keith Pfeiffer, and it's fantastic to kind of be here with my old colleagues from kind of way back, and the significance of this show, of course, which is that this is the site of the first ever exhibition by what became the Blk Art Group in '81. The oldest piece from me in this show is from about '81, which is the 13 Dead piece, which was a piece made in response to the tragic killing of 13 young black people in a party in New Cross in '81, and I made that piece in response to that. Then there are various pieces from '82, '83, and this kind of reflects the sort of work which we were making as part of the Blk Art Group. And another interesting thing which the show does is it then traces work from each of us in terms of stuff which was made after the Blk Art Group, in terms of the way that we evolved those ideas. And so I have a number of video works in the show, a number of kind of works from just after the Blk Art Group.
I have several pieces in the show. One piece is called Good Housekeeping, and it's a remake of a 1985 piece of work that I made for the Thin Black Line at the ICA. It makes reference to the shooting of Cherry Gross. So there's a woman standing with her arm up against a wall, and behind her is the picture of her family, and there are words above the woman leaning against the wall, and the words say, "My mother opened the door at 7 a.m. She is not bulletproof." And that makes reference to the fact that Cherry Gross was shot when she opened the doors to the police who were looking for her son back in 1985. It was really difficult to make the piece again for the second time, but I really enjoyed seeing this woman come into being using the materials. So the materials are chipboard, and on top of the chipboard is chicken wire, which I use to mold the shape of the woman's body. On top of the chicken wire is J-cloths that have been dipped in plaster, and so it was a very wet and messy process, but I really enjoyed it.
I'm Janet Vernon, I'm an artist, and I've got 2 textile pieces in the exhibition. They're both wax resist. My main focal point is my jewellery, but that's statement jewellery made out of copper and brass, and they've been like patinaed. They've been constructed by rivets, so they're cold connected, so they are quite articulate, so you can actually move them. There are three pendants, and they incorporate gemstones as well. They're like agates in both of them, and there's also earrings as well. And the reason why I like working in this medium, I like to work in 3-dimensionally, it's because it's tactile, and also that I love experimenting. So I've been playing a lot with varying patinas. So I've been using, it's like a bit of science going on here. Been using the ammonia, vinegar and salt to create a verdigris effect on the copper. Also, if you look at the copper pieces as well, they've been embossed. So, and luckily I've got a rolling mill, so I can imprint things on a metal. So you can see that there. And also what I've done as well in one of the pendants, somebody was getting rid of their pipes, their copper pipes out of their house. So I've just reclaimed that, and I've just did a bit of soldering and just made it into a pendant, and I've incorporated pearls in it. So just reusing copper, but I like copper and brass. I do like those base materials because you can do lots of things with it, and they're relatively cheap as well to work with. Yes.
Their legacy is almost unexplainable. Like, in lots of ways, it's felt. It's something that really is difficult to articulate and difficult to sort of pin down this and this. But I think it's definitely felt across the sector through both, artists and curators. Marlene Smith and Keith Piper have been incredibly generous in terms of what they've given to younger artists, Marlene in particular. And I think I wouldn't be the curator I am if it wasn't for her intervention when I was 16. So I think for me, literally, I sort of developed a family. I developed somebody who was looking out for me, who was really genuinely interested in supporting whatever I wanted to do as a Black artist at the time, studying fine art at Derby. So I just think their generosity and genuine interest in practices is why I feel they're so well respected by our peers and our communities, but also, why we should really take note of what they've done. And this show is just a little snippet of their practice, which is lifelong.
I'm Marlene Tajuddin, the founder of Black Blossoms and Black Blossoms School of Art and Culture, a curatorial and expanded curatorial platform showcasing the artworks of Black and brown artists, and the online art school is kind of the colonizing critical art theory and cultural art theory. The Blk Art Group is pivotal to my work as a curator, because it's their legacy that we stand on in Britain, and I think without their sort of tenacity to push to be recognised as artists, we wouldn't be able to have some of the access that we have now.
My name is Phoebe Collins-James. I'm one of 9 current members of Black Obsidian Sound System, a sound system that started in 2018 to support and uplift Black and brown, queer and trans artists. The system is Black-led, and I guess it's a space for us to kind of collectively support each other, for us to make work and kind of like express ourselves around sound, to connect with our community, to share knowledge, to share skills. Most people in the collective are kind of like working with artistic practice or with sound, or as sort of like musicians, DJs, doing kind of like sound tech. And it's really a way for us to like collectively organise around our sort of like shared politics and visions and sort of like spiritual connections, and to connect to sort of like a lot of the histories and sort of ideas and steps that were really paved by artists in this exhibition and in the Blk Art Group. And it's quite overwhelming to be here today and to speak with both our sort of like elders and peers and friends, and sort of to hear how those intergenerational conversations are sort of like emerging. I'm thinking of fluttering, maybe because of the blossoms, and like just moving in the weather, in the wind. And yeah, it's also still kind of sitting with me and moving through me kind of how important it is to be here today.
So we are Togetherness, and we are a collective of 5 students who came together to curate this exhibition for the Power of Colour, 40 years of artistic expression for Black and Haitian artistic expression. So yeah, that's who we are, and that's what we have done today. So for me, the Blk Art exhibition was really inspiring. It was great to see the work that was, probably shown like 40 years ago, and then seeing it again today either reappropriated or in the same way. And it was just great that that they can come back and do this, and then we're also doing something similar and inspired by them, but bringing together like people of colour and creators. So that's it's been really nice, and I think that we are very lucky to have had them as an inspiration, and we're able to do this as a generation now.
For me, it was very impactful because previously, prior to being a part of this group, I've never heard of the Black Arts movement before, so the whole thing is new, and as I said before, it's like a strength in numbers, and together it's importantly it's very empowering to be a part of a group like this.
So yeah, we're very inspired by the Black Art movement. I heard about it a couple of years ago, and it's the reason why I came up to Wolverhampton. Because I wanted to be in an area where the movement that inspires me to create happen. Seeing the exhibition today was honestly amazing and very inspiring. And seeing the work of people like Claudette, I think is very empowering, especially as a Black woman. Her work, as she puts the figures very central in her art, where in a lot of art that I've been looking at, especially European art and art history, you'll see that the Black people in the images are not the focus of the image. They're always in dehumanizing roles, or they're not given names, or they're just there for an act of colour. So for me, seeing people who are just like us, and their work inspiring me so much, so many people, we just want to do the same thing with our exhibition as well that we planned today.
It's always difficult to give advice to young artists, particularly if you're just giving generalized advice. So I would say, do your work.
Yes.
Keep on with it. Don't give up. That's my most important piece of advice.